We're going to record here. Awesome. Welcome everyone. I know I just did a bit of an introduction, but if you're catching the replay, we are so glad to have you watching this and learning with us. And for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Alyssa Harryman, and I am a nutritionist. I've been teaching nutrition now for the past 16 plus years. I've been in the health industry for almost 20 years, and I just believe that when we have great knowledge, we put ourselves in a position to be able to make great choices. I've spent more than 13 years specializing in nutritional therapy for those with cancer. I'm one of 2 instructors at Edison Institute of Nutrition, which is currently the only school offering a cancer certification, and I'm one of the instructors in that program. I teach the nutrition program for Doula Canada, and I've been running a very busy practice for many years. So just in case you didn't know who I was, that is my background, and that is why I am so excited to be here tonight and to share this information with you. Now, my goal in running this 5-day series, and for those of you watching it live right now, you're encouraged to post your questions. Nikki is a nutritionist who also works within this group and helps support it, and she's going to text me over your top questions. I also want to encourage you to share your own journey and testimonials, and I'm going to do my best to just keep this as much of a conversation as possible. And I also know that sometimes on first nights it's a little bit quiet, so I'm going to do my best to keep you entertained, and I'll tell you a little bit about what to expect in this series, because I put it together as a way that we could learn and have conversation together around some pretty key areas when it comes to positioning our body to be as healthy as possible. So tonight we're going to talk about terrain. I'm going to explain to you what that is and how your lifestyle and diet influences the terrain. Tomorrow night we're going to discuss products, and I get a lot of questions on products. I find that a lot of clients who come into my practice are overusing products, or have the wrong products kind of combined. So I'm going to let you know what boxes you should be checking when it comes to choosing products, what you want to be looking for from the company, where you want to have your foundational products in place, and then what and when to add. So please get on tomorrow night with your product questions. The third night, we're going to, let me just have a look at my outline so I don't get it wrong. The third night, we're actually going to look at holistic living. I just finished running a 5-week holistic living course for my client group. We had over 3,700 families that were able to have access, and it was an amazing course. So we're going to tie that up into one short lesson with all of us together here on Wednesday night. Thursday night, we're going to talk about becoming a student and how important it is to continually be learning and to make educated decisions. We get a lot of health information and education thrown at us, especially in the nutrition world. There's a lot of fad diets. There's a lot of people who endorse different things. And I really want to help you be in a position to make confident decisions for your health, because really at the end of the day, everything that we are doing should help us live in a healthier body. And then the 5th night on Friday night, because it's Friday and it's July, we're going to keep it super short, but I'm going to tie up all the lessons and help you connect the dots. So I hope over the next few nights, you will be able to just learn a few takeaways each night, and then we'll put them all together. And I'll also be talking about some of your questions as well. So really, really important to post your questions. Don't be shy. There is no silly question, because trust me, if you're thinking it, I can promise you someone else is as well. So it's really important. Okay, so let's dive headfirst into this, and let's talk about the terrain. And in the nutrition field, we look at the body like an environment, and it's one big, large functioning environment. And your dietary and your lifestyle choices influence this environment. So if you make great choices, then you're going to have a good influence on the body. And if you're making a lot of poor choices, that's also going to influence the body. So I actually made some notes because I really wanted to make make it clear. And the cool thing about being able to watch this live is you can also go back and watch the replay. So your body is an environment. How you treat it influences the environment. So think about like your front yard or the neighborhood or the world that we live in. If we treat our world and the outdoors or a plant in our home or anything well, then it tends to thrive. And if we don't treat it well, then it dies. It can become diseased or at risk for disease. And our body is very much the same thing. So for example, the type of food you consume impacts your gut bacteria. So just to kind of give you a breakdown example of just the influence of food, really simply talking about the gut bacteria. So when we eat food, that food is digested and heads into the digestive tract, and it influences the bacteria in our gut, okay? And some foods feed good bacteria and some foods feed the wrong bacteria. Now, this bacteria, based on the food that we eat, has an impact on our immune system. About 70% of your immune system resides in your gut. It has an impact on your body's ability to eliminate well. So if you're not eliminating, you stand the risk of holding toxins in your body longer. These gut bacteria influence the health of your digestive tract. And if your digestive tract is not healthy, you can get inflammation, irritability. That digestive tract can become damaged so that you can't absorb nutrients. So you're at higher risk for malabsorption. So depending on the type of bacteria you feed, can also influence your body's ability to absorb nutrition into the bloodstream. It influences how the gut bacteria communicate with our brain, which can then have an influence on our mood, right? So simply looking at your body as an environment, the food that you eat, one influence that the food that you eat impacts your gut bacteria. And that, as a result, has a cascading effect on your immune system, on absorption, on elimination, and on your mood, just to name a few. So what we have to look at when it comes to healthy diet and lifestyles, are we doing things that are influencing the entire environment versus looking at the body as compartmentalized? Because every choice, everything that we're exposed to, all the foods that we put into our mouth, the way we live our lifestyle, if we manage stress, all of these things have an impact on whether or not or how well the environment functions. The reason I chose to become a nutritionist is because I started out in the healthcare fields where I felt incredibly frustrated and overwhelmed by the amount of conditions that I was working with that were preventable. And I wanted to become a nutritionist to teach people how to prevent disease. Most of the diseases, I think some doctors estimate up to 70 to 80% of the disease that we see on a daily basis is preventable. We know that cardiovascular disease is preventable. We know a lot of cancers are lifestyle and environmental based. We know that type 2 diabetes is preventable. We know that a lot of most autoimmune conditions are preventable. But we have to look at our body as a big environment, and our choices influence the environment. So let's keep going with this discussion. The quality of your food can give your body life, or it creates burden. So I want you to look at your choices and think about, is this like healing, promoting healthy body? Is this giving life, or is this creating burden? Now, if most of what you do is creating healing environments and creating life, then a little bit of creating burden foods aren't so bad. But if most of what you're doing is burdensome, then eventually that gets ahead of your body. Your body can only withstand so much of it and for so long. If you're not doing the healing, life-giving stuff, enough of that, then the burden stuff starts to win. So let me know if this is making sense. Comment in there. I will be in after tonight. I just can't see the live chat when I do it this way, but I wanted to be able to record it just in case the storm cut me off. All right. So let's think of it this way. Whole food, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, enzymes, everything your body needs to be healthy. Okay. And a quick recap of whole food: fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes. So everything that your body needs, that is going to be considered what I would consider life-giving food. That's going to positively influence the environment, help you live in a healthier environment or terrain. Okay. Processed foods: food coloring, flavor enhancers, sodium, refined sugar, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, all of these foods combined into one, right? High burden, robbing the body of its own stored nutrition. There's consequences to these foods. Our body has to detoxify from these foods. And if the majority of our nutrition comes from these foods, very quickly that can influence the environment, right? So I want you to think about, like, what could you do right now? And we're going to talk about some tactics, some tips to helping you live in a healthier or create a healthier terrain. But I want you to think about right now, what is one thing that you could improve that you know maybe you shouldn't be doing? Now, if you want to write it down, go ahead. If you want to type it in, that's amazing. If you just want to think about it. And we all have a couple things that we know that we can improve upon. Then I'll share mine with you before I go on. I am a coffee lover. I love good coffee. I don't need coffee. I'm well fueled, but I love coffee. And it's not good for me because too much caffeine interferes with hormone pathways in my liver, and that can cause problems, especially for girls, right? So we don't want to have a lot of that. Too much, burden. A little bit, okay, as long as I'm doing enough of the good stuff. All right, so let's talk about what the environment or what the terrain or what your body needs. Thinking of your body as an environment you want to keep healthy. So one, your body needs a very wide spectrum of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants every single day in order for it to function optimally. And many of those nutrients are not stored, which means that you have to obtain them every single day from the diet. So if your diet is processed, if you miss a lot of meals and snacks, if you're constantly on the go trying to get nutrition in your body just to stay fueled, there's a pretty good chance that you can become deficient very quickly. And deficiencies show up as things like fatigue, symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, poor sleep quality, mood instability, digestive problems, a susceptibility to colds and flus. Like, we see deficiencies show up in a lot of different ways. So our body needs good quality nutrients every single day. The best source of nutrients for our body is always whole food because it's perfectly packaged for us. All right. Number two, we need proper hydration. Now, the moment that you feel like you are thirsty, you are already dehydrated. And a lot of people misinterpret dehydration for hunger and they end up overeating. So really, really important to have a measured cup that you can measure, or container that you can measure your fluid intake throughout the day. A lot of times when I ask my clients, do you drink enough water? They're always like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, oh, okay, how much did you drink? Or why don't you track it and let me know how much that you drank over, a period of a day. And they always come back and say, oh my goodness, I really thought I was drinking enough water. But once I had to track it, I realized I wasn't doing as well as I thought I was. And that's why it's important to have a container that you can track your water. Now, fluid requirements are different for everyone. It's going to depend on your medication. It's going to depend on the environment you live in. If it's really hot out, your hydration requirements go up. How physically active you are, how much sodium you typically eat, how much caffeine you consume, because caffeine is a diuretic. So there's a lot of things that contribute to hydration. The general rule I encourage clients to start with is a minimum of 2 liters a day, and you shouldn't be drinking 2 liters all at once. It should be, 500 mils several times throughout the day to hit your minimum of 2 liters, and then kind of building for there, depending again, how physically active, what type of an environment that you live in. Hydration is really essential for nutrients and oxygen to make its way through your body, because when you're dehydrated, your blood volume actually decreases. And when your blood volume decreases, so does the amount of oxygen and nutrients floating around in your body. Being properly hydrated also plays a significant role in your body's ability to detoxify. And now I'm thirsty. You're probably all taking a drink right now too. Right? So we need that fluid, that hydration, in order to support proper elimination as well from our body. Tip number 3 is clean fuel, specifically high fiber foods. We need that fiber in our diet to keep our body clean. There's 2 types of fiber that we get from whole foods, which are, again, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes. That is soluble fiber, which ends up kind of going throughout the body and cleaning the body, and then insoluble fiber that stays in the digestive tract and kind of works like nature's broom. You need a good source of fiber to grab onto what your body body wants to eliminate to bind onto it and carry it out of the body. And if you're eating a highly processed diet and not getting enough dietary fiber, there's not necessarily enough fiber to grab onto these toxins, excess cholesterol, excess hormones, and carry them out of the body. So that's why you really want to focus on eating as much whole foods as absolutely possible. Okay, tip number four is exercise. Now, exercise serves a couple of purposes. One, it's important to keep your cardiovascular system healthy. Two, we have a lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is essentially the sewage system of the body, and it is basically the fluid system. And if you ever suffer from edema, that's the buildup of the lymph system, of the lymph fluid. We don't want that. That's like the sewage, right? So the only way to move the lymphatic system is through physical activity. So if you have a sit-down job and you're not moving enough, that lymphatic system remains stagnant and you're not eliminating toxins as well. So you really, again, remember, the body is the environment. This is like incorporating all of the systems. You want to make sure that lymphatic system is moving, going for a walk, doing some stretches, doing home-based yoga, because I know a lot of people can't go to the gym right now. There's a lot of different things that you can do to get physically active. You know, maybe you have an active lifestyle. That is awesome. Maybe you have a job that keeps you active. That is awesome. But we do need that physical activity every single day. Number 5 is proper elimination. We need to support proper elimination. And I'll talk later on this week around the BEAT test. I'll make sure Nikki reminds me in case I forget about it. But proper elimination is what we call opening the doors. So again, your body's an environment. We want the doors open. And the doors are, we're breathing well, we're sweating well, we're peeing well, we're having healthy bowel movements. Those are all the doors. And if any of the doors are closed, then we're not eliminating well. So it's not just about how often do you have a number 2, it is about also, are you, when you go pee, when you void, is it clear or is it really dark? If it's really dark, you're dehydrated, you need to have more water. Do you sweat well, or do you wear a lot of stuff that prevents you from sweating? Or are you not being physically active enough to sweat well? Are you breathing well throughout the day, finding time to do deep breathing and to eliminate toxins that way? So very, very important that the doors are open so that you can eliminate well. And the last one, number 6, is to support the detox pathways. And our body is really, really efficient at breaking down and eliminating toxins so long as the moving parts of that process are present. So we need a very wide spectrum of nutrients on a daily basis in order to support these detox pathways. So really, really crucial and important to have these nutrients present at all times. So quickly, we need high nutrients, high antioxidants, best source is whole food, proper hydration, clean fuel that has a good source of fiber to support elimination, daily exercise to keep the body moving, the cardiovascular system healthy, and keep that lymphatic system emptying, proper elimination, all the doors are open, and support those detox pathways. And really, if you're eating enough of the right foods, the detox pathways are well supported. We don't need special herbs or kits or isolated vitamins to support the metabolic detoxification pathways. In fact, if you eat a variety of different plants and you choose specifically a whole bunch of different colors throughout the day, you will be getting the nutrients required to support those detox pathways. And I'm going to see maybe if I can add a little bit more on that in the lesson on holistic living. So later this week, or maybe we'll dive into it a little bit more tomorrow. We'll see. At some point, it'll come back up. Nikki is in here. She keeps me on track because sometimes I go in circles. All right. So let's look at what harms the body, because remember, the body is the terrain, it's the environment. What harms the environment? What harms our environment, right? Air pollution, chemicals, things that are harmful to the environment are harmful to our terrain as well. So we want to look at reducing chemicals. So things like buying organic, growing your own food. We grow in tower gardens at home because when I saw the opportunity to grow chemical-free food for my family year round, I was in. I was like, this is it. This is like, plants come to my house to die. This thing's going to water itself and feed itself. It's going to make me happy. And it has. For 8 years, we've been growing our own food. You want to avoid processed foods as much as possible. Remember, the majority of your nutrition should be foods that heal and add nutrition, or nutrients, not things that add burden. So really, really looking at where are the processed foods coming into your diet? Why are they showing up? Is it because of lack of planning, busy lifestyle? Maybe you crave them because you've been feeding the gut bacteria that live on them. What is the reason that these foods are showing up? A little bit is okay. Your body can keep up with a little bit, but it cannot keep up with a lot of it, especially if there's not enough healing foods in place. Avoiding all soda. Soda is incredibly acidic. If it's diet soda, it's full of aspartame, which is neurotoxic, and nobody should be consuming aspartame. And if it's not, it's full of artificial sweeteners, it is full of sugar, which is not also helping the environment. And soda is very, very acidic on the body. So it is something that should be on the no list all the time. The other one is commercial fruit juices. Again, there's no nutrients left in them. It's highly processed. It's full of sugar. Not a food that adds any nutritional value. In fact, the reason most fruit juices say added vitamin C on them is because they are so processed. In order to sell it to you, they have to put some man-made vitamins back into it. All right, and the last one, refined sugar. Refined sugar suppresses the immune system. It's been known to aggravate inflammatory conditions. It causes mood instability, blood sugar instability, which can influence weight gain, your risk factor for type 2 diabetes. We know too much sugar in the diet is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. So we really, really want to avoid those refined sugars. So we're going to reduce chemicals, avoid processed foods, avoid the sodas and the commercial fruit juice, and avoid the refined sugars. So, all right, so what else did I put here? Preventable disease is opportunistic, right? So remember, your body is an environment, and for disease to exist in the environment has to be conducive to the growth and development of that disease. In most cases, unless it's a genetic condition, in a lot of cases, genetic conditions still require a specific environment to grow in. So most disease is opportunistic. The environment has to allow it. Some of those diseases include elevated cholesterol, elevated triglycerides, type 2 diabetes, many autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue, many inflammatory conditions, and even some cancers, because we know cancer loves an acidic, dirty, nutrient deficient environment. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this lesson. Please put in your questions if you have any. If you don't, that's okay. Maybe this is just lots of food for thought. I hope you're learning something. Please go in right now, type in, what are you learning? At least I'll get to see that, which is awesome. Okay, so let's focus on some homework for tonight that I want you to think about. That'll help you get ready for session number 2, which is tomorrow night. And again, rewatch these sessions. Watching it the first time is awesome, but when you watch something a second time, a third time, you're actually building the knowledge in your brain. When I read a really, really good nutrition book, I don't read it once. I usually read it twice, sometimes 3 times. There's some books on these shelves I've been reviewing for years, because it's how I build up that knowledge and understanding versus just get an idea or a concept. So homework is, how can you get your calories up to 80% of your food intake up to 80% of your calories coming from whole foods? So I want you just to do a little assessment. Think about your foods over the last couple of days, track your foods over the next couple of days, and think about what would it take to get my foods from what they're typically at right now to 80% of my calories coming from whole foods. Why? Because those whole foods provide the fiber, they provide the nutrients, they are going to feed the right gut bacteria. We kind of opened up having an understanding that just one thing is a part of our environment, but greatly influences the entire environment, right? Number 2, I want you to get a good water container and track your water intake. You want to hit a minimum of about 2 liters a day. Remember, gradually throughout the day. You don't want to drink all your water at once. It's hard on your kidneys. Number 3, how can you make sure you're physically active so that both your cardiovascular system and your lymphatic system are benefiting every single day from some physical activity? Homework number 4, which we didn't talk about because I didn't want to take up too much time. My goal is to get these lessons out in about 30 minutes, is daily rest. I want you to just think about, where do I allow my body to heal and repair? Do you sleep well? Do you go to bed at a reasonable time? Do you get up at a reasonable time? Do you take a cat nap if you need one? Where are you allowing your body to heal and repair? Because the healing and repairing happens when we are at rest. Daily elimination, opening the doors, deep breathing, making sure you're properly hydrated. When you go pee, that it's not dark yellow, that it's light yellow or clear. Making sure you're eliminating bowel movements every single day, sweating well. How can we make sure that the doors are all open? So as I mentioned, tomorrow we're going to talk about products. And for those of you who are going to follow this whole series, if you really feel like you just need some one-on-one support, I just wanted to let you know about something that is super accessible to all of you. We're now booking them into the end of July, so it's definitely a good time to get yourself organized and set up. And it's called a nutritional assessment. And a nutritional assessment is where you get a customized approach to your health. We do a full health history on you. We talk about your goals. You do a consultation with Nikki, who is a nutritionist who's fully certified. She's done all the same certifications that I have. And she does your intake. We build your recommendations together. And then I go through your recommendations with you. I give you a game plan to follow, and we create an action plan. So if you are looking for customized one-on-one game plan, we can get you in. It's near the end of July right now, but we can definitely set you up. Nikki will post the link here below so that you can learn a little bit more about nutritional assessments. They do book up really quickly. June was jam-packed, but because I'm teaching these classes, I know that you're going to have personal questions that come up, and you might be thinking, what should I be doing for my health? If you want to have a game plan that's customizable and have the support, we have something available for you. All right, so tomorrow night we're going to focus on how to avoid taking too many supplements. We're going to talk about the boxes that you want to have checked before you purchase products. I've been in the supplement industry for a long time. I actually ran a health food store as my placement as a nutritionist. So I have quite the experience, and I've taught supplement courses at the college level as well. So I got some good stuff to share with you. And we're also going to talk about how to create a simple and affordable customized supplement program. So we decided that we were going to close registration for this group, for this program, this morning. We had a discussion. I've had a few people go up. I still want to invite people. We're going to keep it open. Once the whole program is done, these 5-day series is done, we'll be able to reopen it. So it will stay open for the next day if you want to invite friends and family to come in and join. And I'm just going to check here. Nikki, let me know if there's any questions. I don't think so. I don't see a text from you. I'll just have a gander here. If you have a question, feel free to put it in. Share something that you learned today in the comments that you didn't already know. And I'm not seeing anything come up from her. So if there's questions in there that I don't get to answer, awesome, thanks, Nikki. If there's questions in there that I don't get to answer tonight, I will make sure I have a look at this post tomorrow before I go on. So remember, your body is an environment, and everything you do influences how well that environment functions. So hope you have an amazing night. We'll see you at 7:30 tomorrow evening.